Have you ever felt just completely hollowed out? You know that feeling like the internal wiring that connects you to yourself and to everyone else has just gone dark? If you've been there, you know how incredibly lonely that place is. Today, we're going to look at this crisis in a totally different way. Not as a collapse, but as a radical and honestly a necessary renovation of the self.
This feeling right here. This is the absolute core of the crisis, isn't it? You desperately crave support. You want the warmth of someone close, but at the very same time, you're pushing everyone away, locking the door. You might even feel like you have love to give, but you also feel completely and totally worthless. This internal tug-of-war just burns through an immense amount of energy, and it leaves you feeling numb and utterly disconnected.
Okay, let's really dig into this because this is the big idea we're exploring today. What if that shutdown, that feeling of being completely lost, what if it's not a sign that you're broken? What if it's your internal system's final, desperate attempt to protect you by forcing a complete and total reset because the old way of doing things just wasn't working anymore?
So let's start by breaking down this crisis as a system reset. Now, this is a subtle shift in thinking, but it's a profound one. We're moving away from the idea that something is fundamentally wrong with you, and we're moving toward understanding the logical, even protective process that's actually unfolding.
Think about your mind and body like a computer for a second. Maybe after years of built-up stress or pressure from the outside world, or maybe just by outgrowing who you used to be. It's like you've been running too many heavy programs on an old, outdated operating system for way too long. So eventually, to prevent a total system crash, it goes into safe mode. That numbness, the total lack of motivation, it's not a bug. It's actually a feature designed to save energy and stop you from continuing down a path that leads to a dead end.
To really get this, we need a brand new perspective. So for a moment, let's put on the glasses of what we're going to call the architect. The architect isn't your typical therapist trying to soothe a feeling. Nope. The architect is more like a systems analyst, a builder who looks at the deep foundations of who you are. When they see a crack in the wall, they don't just slap some paint on it. They ask, okay, what's putting stress on the foundation? They see the entire structure. It's a huge shift from emotional judgment to a functional diagnosis. And this is where that shift just becomes crystal clear. That harsh, critical voice in your head gets translated into the objective, diagnostic language of the architect. I am broken becomes a simple technical problem. This system is overloaded. I have failed becomes a practical observation. You know what? The old blueprint is just outdated. This perfectly illustrates the move from blaming yourself to analyzing the system. It's not about your worth, it's about your wire. So the system hits the emergency brake. And what does that feel like? Well, a lot of the time, it feels like a big empty space, a void. But as we're about to see, this emptiness is actually the most important first step on the construction site. So the key thing here is, this isn't random. There are very clear, logical reasons for this shutdown. The structure, your old ways of coping, of trying to please everyone, of just pushing through, it's completely overloaded. The numbness, that's just power-saving mode. And maybe most importantly, your system is actively refusing to use a broken old map. It's forcing a detour because it knows that old road leads nowhere good. This is such a powerful metaphor. Think about it. As long as the old interior is still there, the old wallpaper, the old furniture, the old beliefs, you can't really renovate. The system has to strip everything back to the bare framework, down to the studs. And yeah, it's cold, it's really uncomfortable, but it's also honest. It's the only way to see what the structure is really made of before you can start building again.
And down there, in that basement, you feel worthless because all the external decorations are gone. There are no achievements to point to, no roles to hide behind. But it's also the place of absolute truth. Because even here, in the dark, something exists. You still exist. That flicker of a desire for love is still there. That is the indestructible foundation. Okay, so the demolition is done. The site is cleared. How in the world does the architect even begin to draw up a new blueprint for rebuilding from here? This is so important to remember. The architect can see that even when you feel worthless, you still want to give and receive love. And that right there is proof that the power generator, your core, is still working. You are not broken. The connection is just temporarily offline while the system rewires itself. So the architect doesn't try to build a skyscraper in a day. The plan starts small. First step, stop fighting it. Acknowledge the construction stop.
Sometimes the most productive form of building is actually doing nothing, just letting the new foundation set. Second, find one tiny physical anchor to reality, a micro-validation. Third, allow the paradox. Smile at a stranger, pet your dog. These tiny acts of giving prove to your system that you still have value, and it starts to repair that broken feedback loop. And finally, number 4, it is absolutely okay to need help. Let someone else hold the plans for you for a little while. But look, all of this theory doesn't mean a thing without action. This whole process can begin with one single, tangible step, a way to actually feel the very first stone of your new foundation. And you know what? Let's try that right now. Okay, let's just do this. Wherever you are, just stop for a moment. You can close your eyes or just let your gaze soften on one spot. Now, place your hand on something solid next to you. Could be a table, the wall, or even just your own chest. Press down gently. Now, shift all of your attention to the sensation right under your palm. Don't judge it, just notice it. Is it cool? Is it warm, smooth, or rough? And just say quietly to yourself, I feel this, therefore I am here. What you just did there was incredibly powerful. You forced your brain to switch from its negative judgment loop, that I am worthless track, to a simple, neutral observation loop. I feel a texture. This is the smallest, safest, most fundamental building block of your identity. Before you are anything else, you are the one who feels. You are the observer. And that is the first undeniable truth you can start to rebuild from. So, if you're in that dark, empty space, the big takeaway is this. You haven't lost the plot. The old plot simply came to an end. And right now, in the quiet and in the pain, maybe without even realizing it, you are spinning the very start of a new thread, one that is stronger, more authentic, and more truly you than anything that came before.